Dissolving the mysteries of consciousness. Consciousness is a brain process. It cannot float around in space by itself. Every so-called thing is a process, an event, some of which may continue for a long time like a tree or the sun. The content in consciousness correlates to what the brain has already analyzed and produced in the subconscious. This neural voting being quick, but not instant, taking about 300 to 500 milliseconds. The content reflects the brain's mapping, which map is the territory since the noumena are left behind. Consciousness makes no reference to brain states, which is called referral. Neuroscience informs us of the projection of neural states with no perceiving of neural firing states, else we wouldn't know about the basement first story, being unaware of it in our already written conscious second story. So consciousness is not live, but a kind of tape-delayed broadcast, ever showing the just past. Thus, consciousness does not cause anything right then and there, for it arrives too late in the process. This rather tricks us into thinking that consciousness is in control, as directly causal. The consciousness brain process is ever ongoing. Other interested brain areas will respond with their products, and so it goes, even into long ruminations. Conscious is compositional. It is structured with many phenomenological distinctions. It is intrinsic, as one's own, as independent. It is informational, as particular and specific. It is integrated/whole, as unified and no longer reducible. It is exclusive, as having definite content, no more and no less. It is subjectively felt. In addition to the referral already mentioned, there is mental unity as experienced as a unified field, whereas its sources are all over the brain. There are qualia as the felt qualities of sensory consciousness. It has continuity as the seamless stitching of the ongoing changing contents. Mental causation. How can consciousness itself, right then and there, an intangible, unobservable, and fully subjective entity, cause material neurons to direct behaviors that change the world? Subconscious brain analysis, taking 300 to 500 milliseconds to complete, is all done and finished in its result before consciousness gets hold of the product. Consciousness has advantages over such as reflexes or all-purpose schemes, for it grants flexibility of reaction, as we're better able to react to conscious content in our further subconscious decisions beyond just the automatic reflex-like responses triggered by non-conscious content. There's focus, as selective attention allows the brain to focus its activity on what's important, so that our subconscious decisions can attend to that foremost. It grants evaluations. The feelings make one aware of what is good or bad, from both emotions and logic. It grants survival value, as complex decisions are possible. We have behavioral flexibility, as unlimited associated learning combines multiple cues into a single perception. There's discrimination, making small perceptual differences possible, such as between good and poisonous food, for diversification of species, such as in the Cambrian explosion, and a kind of evolutionary arms race in finding new ways to avoid detection, spurring predators to become more sophisticated. Beauty appears, such as plants evolving colorful flowers to attract pollination. For actionizing as the pondering of the consequences of scenarios before committing to action. There is reality out there for sure. We have senses to take it in as pure. The brain paints a useful face upon it, such as colors for wave frequencies, etc. Consciousness is ever a brain process, one which can be halted nevertheless by anesthesia, poison/drugs, a blow to the head, a faint, or by sleep. Change the brain and consciousness changes too. Take drugs and the emotions change anew. Damage the brain and the mind's damaged too. Consciousness emerges only from the brain. In identifying consciousness, we often confuse what is floating in the stream of consciousness with the water itself. Thus we note not the sea in which we see. The brain interprets reality and puts a face on the waves of sound, light, color, touch, and a sense on molecules, smell, and taste. Consciousness is the brain's perception of itself. Consciousness mediates thoughts versus outcomes and is distributed all over the body, from the nerve spindles to the spine to the brain, a way to actionize without moving. Physics describes well the extrinsic causes, while consciousness exists just for itself, as the intrinsic, compositional, informational, whole, and exclusive, as the distinctions toward survival, though causing nothing except in itself, as in ne'er doing but only as being, leaving intelligence for the doing. The posterior cortex correlates, for this is the only brain region that can't be removed for one to still retain consciousness, it having feedback in it. Thusly, it presents a unified whole, and this whole forms consciousness directly. a process fundamental in nature, or it's the brain's own symbolic language. The whole can also be well spoken of to communicate with others, as well as globally informing other brain states, for non-conscious states know not what's been formed.
Have you ever wondered what consciousness really is? This elusive, intangible phenomenon that defines our perception of reality, yet remains one of the greatest mysteries of the human mind. Today, we'll embark on a journey into the depths of neuroscience to unravel this enigma. First, let's consider this. Consciousness is not a standalone entity. It is a process, a continual event taking place within the brain. It's like a tree growing or the sun shining, a constant ongoing happening. Now imagine your brain as a complex voting system. It takes information, analyzes it, and produces a vote or decision in the subconscious. This process happens swiftly within 300 to 500 milliseconds. The result? The content of our consciousness, a reflection of our brain's internal map of the world. Interestingly, our consciousness doesn't make reference to brain states. This is known as referral. It's like watching a tape-delayed broadcast that's always just a little behind the live action. This delay can trick us into thinking that our consciousness is in control when in fact it's always playing catch-up. Yet the process of consciousness doesn't stop. It keeps churning, sparking responses from various areas of the brain, leading to deep thought and rumination. So what are the characteristics of consciousness? It's compositional, structured with many distinctions, intrinsically ours, it's unique and independent, it's informational, specific and particular, integrated and whole, it's unified and irreducible, and it's exclusive with definite content, no more and no less. Moreover, consciousness is subjectively felt. It gives us a unified field of experience, despite its sources being scattered across the brain. It provides us with qualia, the felt qualities of sensory consciousness, and it ensures continuity, seamlessly stitching together our ongoing, changing experiences. But can consciousness cause anything? Can this fully subjective entity direct neurons to influence our behavior and alter the world? Not directly. The subconscious brain has already finished its analysis before consciousness gets hold of the product. So what's the use of consciousness? It offers flexibility of reaction, allowing us to respond consciously to situations beyond just automatic reflex-like responses. It helps us focus, directing our brain's activity towards what's important. It allows for evaluation, enabling us to discern what's good or bad. It aids in survival, facilitating complex decisions. In essence, consciousness offers us behavioral flexibility, allowing us to combine multiple cues into a single response. It's the guiding force behind our actions and decisions, a subtle yet powerful influence shaping our everyday lives. In conclusion, consciousness is a complex, ongoing process, a tape-delayed broadcast of our brain's workings. It's an intricate web of information, integration, and subjective experience, yet it's not in direct control, but rather a latecomer to the process. Despite this, it offers us invaluable advantages, from flexibility of reaction to behavioral adaptability. It's a fascinating mystery, one that continues to captivate neuroscientists and enthusiasts alike.
I saw the world dissolve, and in its place appeared a numinous, effulgent face whose name was Truth. With plaintive plea it bade me heed its homily, declaring man a localized anomaly it deemed uncouth. And while it spoke, the dusky ether teemed. Quanta of meaning physically streamed, with contrails glowing. The grave locutor called me to attention and told me of a network of dimension beyond my knowing. "Dear thinker," it intoned, "your mathematics are limited to juvenile quadratics and schoolroom surds. You cannot grasp the transcendental rule which would defeat the wit of Gauss or Boole through signs or words. Permit me, though, to say that space and time are side effects of something more sublime. It may be solved by humans if they finally attain the necessary wisdom, when their brain is more evolved. Those filaments," the spirit face explained, "allow coordinates to be obtained in 7D. For in this awesome, vast, and complex realm, geometry can even overwhelm great gods like me." At every junction of the lucent net, some symbols from an alien alphabet dimly appeared. I asked myself if I was really seeing the key to some exalted plane of being. It was too weird. But suddenly the whole perplexing scene fragmented into pixels on a screen, then faded out. Though still I probed the riddle of existence, I now suspect the fruits of such persistence must be in doubt.